and welcome to the Writer's Toolbox, which is a fun, creative game by Jamie Cat Callum on how to get started with your writing. It's got lots of fun games, creative games to help you unblock your mind if you have writer's block. So I've just done a quick unboxing. So it comes with 3 sets of sticks. You've got the first sentence sticks, the NonSequitur sticks, and the last straw sticks. You also have a 3-minute timer, and you've got the 6th sense cards, which I'll talk about later. It's basically based on the 5 senses, and the 6th sense being your imagination or memory. And then you've got the Protagonist Game, which is a fun wheelie game, which I will talk about later, and comes with a really nice guidebook with lots of interesting tips and basically how to use all of these elements. So I'll just read some interesting excerpts from the book. So she talks about how this toolbox can be used to give you a jump start into creativity. The games are easy, based on right brain theory. The critical and analytical left side of the brain is kept busy with thoughts such as, what is this weird combination? Why, this is absurd, so that the creative and intuitive right brain can run free. There's a built-in disclaimer for those who are troubled with the need for perfection. When you start an exercise, you can always say, wow, what do you expect? Look at the words I got. Whether you're a seasoned writer or a beginner, you'll enjoy the games in the Writer's Toolbox. They are all fun and not at all intimidating. Instead, they're visual, sensory, and tactile. They're also perfect for actors, dancers, and basically anyone that is in the creative field. And she just talks about how she's used these to spark inspiration, lots of different people. Okay, so let's begin. Part 1, the power of the narrative. We live in a world where the ability to tell a good story can mean the difference between success and failure. What exactly is a story? A story is made up of voice, narrative arc, and surprising plot points. Stories take those simple moments in life that we might ordinarily dismiss, shining a light on them so that we see the events with new eyes. She talks about how stories are all over the place, all around us, whether we realize it or not, and that using the power of the narrative, and we are using the power of the narrative every day in our own lives. We use stories to convince, cajole, explain, entertain, and illuminate. And she just gives examples, so I'm not going to read that. Whether or not we are aware of it, we long to tell stories, because stories take the chaos of our lives and give our days and hours a shape, a sense of order, meaning, and even artfulness. So I'm just going to skip all the examples she gives and then just finish it with the last paragraph, because this is really good what she says. This is what a story can do. We take our everyday lives, the complexities of work, the confusions of family life, the uncertainties of the future, the mysteries of the past, and we turn all this into something tangible, something we can share, something that makes the invisible brilliantly, beautifully visible. This is the joy of writing. So the first thing she suggests to do is use the first sentence stick, which makes sense. She gives an example of how you should find a comfortable spot, find a sacred space, just cultivate it yourself. There's a really good YouTube video which I highly recommend. It's the title is called How to Write Your Novel in Under 30 Minutes. So he explains how to write a novel in like 30 minutes. And he talks about how you should create a space just for writing, because that's where you're going to give rise to your creation. So you could just put down a nice cloth, which I've done. It's a Peter Rabbit cloth that I just got from John Lewis yesterday, which I thought was really cute. So I just wanted to use that. So yeah. Okay, using the Writer's Toolbox. So relax, clear your mind, be present to this moment. The first sentence. Pick up a first sentence stick and use it as a starting point for your writing. Start at the beginning. It's true, many writers and creative thinkers struggle with just starting. We look at the blank page or the blank screen and simply don't know how to begin. And then she talks about how we could be wrapped up in our own thoughts and million ideas going through our mind, and it's just really hard to get started. So she talks about how it's hard to find a place that's safe for the imagination to roam free. We need some sort of catalyst, some direction. Even, just a chiding voice that says, here, start right here. So the first sentence provides that much needed catalyst. So then she talks about how close your eyes, pick up a stick, and she does say that you may like the sentence, you may hate the sentence, you may feel little emotion towards the sentence, but the point is the sentence, it's yours, you chose it, or maybe it chose you, whatever, it's a start. So she recommends writing for 3 minutes or even 6 minutes, and just let your creative brain get going. So she just gives an example in the book and says that your synapses of the brain are going to be firing, creating combination and ideas. Don't worry what they are, just write. You'll feel free because this odd first sentence provides your critical left brain with something to puzzle over or to criticize and analyze. Good. Now your intuitive and non-linear right brain is free to wander and create. So she talks about how the left critical brain is occupied by, oh, this is nonsense, this is so weird, what kind of a sentence is this? But the right side of your brain, the creative side, is then able to let loose and think about all these crazy ideas. So we're now going to pick a first sentence stick from this bundle. So I will just do a quick shuffle and then pick a stick at random. Boop. Okay, let's go for this one. You won't be able to read it, so I will read it out to you. On Tuesday, Margaret told me she liked the little oranges with the seeds better than the ones I bought. I hated her for that. This is really spooky because I just did a recording previously to this one, but I didn't really like the recording, so I've just redone the recording, and this was the exact first sentence I got. How crazy is that? That's really spooky. So apparently this game really wants me to start with the sentence. So I'll just read it again. On Tuesday, Margaret told me she liked the little oranges with the seeds better than the ones I bought. I hated her for that. So what you would do is then set your timer for 3 minutes and then just write. Write whatever comes into your brain. Doesn't matter, if it makes any sense or if it's interesting or if it's boring. Don't worry about grammar. Just write and just have fun with it. Just play around. There's a really good advice that I read in this book, which I will talk about in another video, and it talks about the zero draft. So just, how you're like making mud pies and just playing with words, so just think of this as your zero draft. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next bunch of sticks, which are known as the NonSequitur sticks. So Jamie Callum talks about, after writing from the first sentence stick for 3 to 6 minutes, pick up a non-sequitur stick and use it to create a surprising transition and moving your write in a new direction. The non-sequitur is just the ticket to get a story moving through time and space. And she talks about how it's really helpful, especially helpful for continuing something you might have put away for a while and need to restart it. It's a natural complement when used in combination with the first sentence. All the non-sequitur sentences employ the element of change to get your characters moving in new, surprising directions. And then she gives an example. Like the first sentence, the non-sequitur will give the critical side of your brain plenty of distractions to keep it occupied. So you'll read it and you'll be like puzzled about it and you'll be thinking about it. In the meantime, you are pushed into an imaginary place with uncharted plot points and characters. You are free to roam the creative landscape. Use the non-sequitur sticks anytime you feel the need to get pushed into an interesting narrative place. So then she says, close your eyes, pick up a stick. and then you write for 3 minutes, and then pick up another, and then pick up another. The non sequitur can be used very effectively for quick moving experimental stories, poems, and screenplay outlines. It's great to use in combination with the first sentence, but it works well with all the exercises in the writer's toolbox. So now I'm going to pick a stick from this bundle. So now we're going to pick a stick from the non-sequitur sticks. Just a quick note, you're probably wondering, these rubber bands, these don't actually come in the toolbox. I actually got these myself. I just happen to have these hair ties, and I thought that would work out really well. They actually come with these plastic, they're in this, but they're really hard to get back in, so that's why. Probably wondering if you have one yourself and you're like, I don't have those rubber bands. Okay, let's pick a random non-sequitur stick. Let's go for this one. Won't be able to read it, so I'll read it out for you. If you don't take chances, said the man in striped pajamas, you might as well not be alive. Okay, so first sentence was about the oranges, and then so maybe the man in the striped pajamas comes along and says that, you should give a chance for, oranges with seeds. Maybe they do taste better. Maybe they're sweeter. And not to hate Margaret for it. Okay, so let's pick. So then you would write for 3 minutes based on that. Maybe he's maybe he's a roommate, and maybe he's psychic and he's sensing what she's thinking, and he was like, you should take a chance on those oranges with seeds. Maybe they taste better. Okay, so now we're going to pick another non-sequitur stick. I'll just put these here. So let's go for this one. Margaret, oh my God, it's the same character. How crazy is that? That's amazing. Margaret had this habit of spitting. It began to get on my nerves. So maybe this actually works with the fact that she likes oranges with seeds. So then she has to spit out the seeds, and that's why our protagonist hates her for it. That totally makes sense. Okay, let's pick one more stick and then move on to the last bundle of sticks, which is the last straw. I'm just going to do a quick shuffle and drop them. Okay, let's go for this one. She found a diamond bracelet in the back of the car. Okay, so then you'll have to figure out how to get from this sentence to this sentence. So she found a diamond bracelet in the back of the car. So maybe our protagonist then leaves the house because she's very, annoyed, and she goes into her car and then randomly finds a diamond bracelet in the back of her car, and she's thinking, whose diamond bracelet is this? It's not mine. So yeah, so that's basically the story so far. And now what we're going to do is pick a stick from the last straw bundles. But before I do that, I'm just going to read a couple of interesting sentences about the last straw concept and what Jamie Callum talks about it. So, choose a last straw stick to create a dramatic arc. These catalyst sentences are the proverbial straws that broke the camel's back. They are intended to fuel conflict and emotion. The last straw is a terrific exercise for writers who tend to avoid conflict and tension in their work. So then she basically talks about how it's the biggest problem for writers, because in our own lives we want to avoid conflict and argument. We long for peace and tranquility. But she says that for strong stories, you need to have conflict, you need to have confrontation and disagreement, which is absolutely necessary. So she talks about how the last straw helps writers think of unexpected sources of drama. And you can use the stick as a starting point for conflict, from quite ordinary, down-to-earth, even trivial events. This is because most fights start over simple things, incidents and events that you relate to and write from. And then she gives an example. So the last straw is a natural companion to the first sentence and non-sequitur exercises and can be used in combination with all three. It's particularly helpful to writers who get stuck at the climactic moment of a story, and because it provides a much needed push over the dramatic arc and ultimately leads to resolution. So let's pick a last straw. What's going to happen to the end of this story with Margaret and her orange seeded fruit? So let's just do a quick shuffle and let's pick one. I'm going to not pick ones that I can see. Okay, that's the stick. Let's read it. The time he invited his mother to dinner. Ooh, okay, so that would be the last straw. So then you would have to, so maybe the bracelet belongs to his mother. Maybe the mother is a roommate, maybe the mother of the roommate. Yeah, okay, so let's just recap on the sentences that we got. So just to recap, the first sentence was, on Tuesday, Margaret told me she liked the little oranges with the seeds better than the ones I bought. I hated her for that. And then the 3 non-sequitur sticks was, if you don't take chances, said the man in striped pajamas, you might as well not be alive. So maybe this was the roommate who comes down in his pajamas and he's able to read our protagonist's mind, that she's getting annoyed with Margaret. And then the second non-sequitur stick is, Margaret had this little habit of spitting. It began to get on my nerves. So that actually works really well, as I said with the first sentence, that when she eats these oranges with seeds, she spits them out. And then maybe our protagonist then leaves the house. So, and then she finds a diamond bracelet in the back of the car. It's like, whose diamond bracelet does that belong to? And then the time he invited his mother to dinner. So maybe the striped pajama housemate invited his mother to dinner, and maybe, I don't know, she like left the bracelet, her diamond bracelet, in the back of the car when our protagonist dropped her back home or something. Well, yeah, you get the idea. So that's basically what you do. You just it just helps with the creative mind. So now that we've done the sticks, I'm going to move on to the next game, which is the 6th sense card. This is actually really fun. I actually did use this to write a quick children's story for fun. The 6th sense cards. To use the 6th sense cards, shuffle the deck thoroughly, then pick out 3 random cards and place them in front of you face down. Now turn the first card over and write for 3 minutes. And then she talks about how Natalie Goldberg's famous first book on writing down the bones, she devotes an entire chapter to being specific. Don't say fruit, she writes. Tell what kind of fruit it is. Is it a pomegranate? Give things the dignity of their names. Being specific translates to using your senses, all your senses. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, as well as memory and imagination. Strong writing creates a feeling of authentic time and place through the use of sensory details, specific descriptions, and evocative memory. The 6th sense cards immediately propel the writer into a specific sensory landscape. The cards are made up of smell, sight, sound, taste, touch, memory, or imagination. So then she just gives an example of, suppose you get the sentence like the taste of almonds. The beauty of the 6th sense cards is that you can use them in any quantity. 3 is good, more work just as well. So you can use more than 3. So let's pick out 3. So I'm just going to shuffle the 6th sense cards and pick a card at random. Let's see, let's go for this one. And second card, let's go for this one. Oh, let's go for that one. Okay, so the first card is the smell of spring. So this is a smell sense card. So then you would write for 3 minutes about the smell of spring. So anything that comes into mind. And then the second card is the sound of Henry crying. So that's sound. So then you would write for another 3 minutes about that. And then third card is someone's red leather journal. And again, you would write about that. So those 3 cards. So they evoke different memories and imagination and senses. So this one would be smell. This is hearing, sound, and then this is sight. And also this could be memory. I think this is more memory, or yeah, someone's red leather journal, because journals are a way to keep memories recorded. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the next game, which is the Protagonist Game. The Protagonist Game. In this exercise, you will spin each protagonist palette to come up with new combinations of protagonists, goals, obstacles, and actions, and to create a limitless number of plot lines. The Protagonist Game is particularly helpful for writers who struggle with plot. And first, spin the protagonist palette. This is about your main character. And then she just gives an example. I'm just going to read what she says. She talks about how this game creates built-in tension and a strong dramatic arc. Okay, so the first dial I'm going to spin is the protagonist one. So let's find our protagonist for our story. So I'm just going to spin it. I'm not looking at it, so let's say Joy from the rock band. So this is our protagonist. And now we're going to find a goal for this, or for our protagonist. So now we're gonna spin the goal. Like, what's our protagonist's goal? Let's see. To save mother. Okay, so we've got Joy from rock band, and her goal is to save mother. And so then you will think about, save mother in what way, has she been kidnapped by, evil creatures, and, just get your mind working. So now we need an obstacle. This is the most important dial in the Protagonist Game. Without an obstacle, a problem or a hurdle to surmount, there is no tension, no conflict, and no story. A story is not so much dependent on whether the protagonists achieve their goal as on how much they learn and change and grow through their struggles. In the immortal words of the Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes you just might find you get what you need. Not getting what you want yields struggle, and this is a key to discovering the character's authentic journey. And oftentimes this is not what the protagonist had in mind. It's important to your characters and story's development to immediately throw in an obstacle. And so okay, so let's spin. What is the obstacle from Joy helping to save her mom? Fear of heights. So that's interesting. So Joy from the rock band, that's our protagonist. Her goal is to save mother, but what's getting in the way is her fear of heights. So maybe her mother has been kidnapped and she's like at top of the mountain and she needs to climb the mountain to go save her. And so now the last dial is action. So finally, to push the story into a place of conflict, complication, and consequence, our protagonist, Joy, must take action. Spin the action palette. So let's see what we get. Okay, we got takes up dancing. Okay, not sure how this would work, but okay, so maybe her fear of heights, she takes up dancing to overcome her fear of heights. Maybe she does dancing that involves, those, circus acrobatic type dancing. Maybe. We'll see. So, okay. And these are all questions to keep your left brain busy. That's the critical, I can't do this part of your brain. While the creative, intuitive right brain can roam freely and have some fun with Joy, saving the mother, and, fear of heights and dancing lessons. And then she goes, the Protagonist Game gives you a roadmap to create plot, dramatic tension, and structure. Your job is to accept the challenge and just write. And remember, as Natalie Goldberg suggests, don't think, just write. Okay, so those are all the concepts of the toolbox that you can use. Just to end this video, she then talks about lots of examples and helpful tips about writing. Whose Story Is It Anyway, Part 3, finding the story. So I'll probably make another video about all of this because it's quite long and this video is quite long already. So I'm going to end this video now, and thank you for watching and good luck with your writing. Bye.